Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's pronunciation practice session. Tonight here in New York City, we're going to practice one of your favorite sounds, which is R. And in a sentence which I've made, which you will have received before the actual class, we're just doing one of the R vowels. That's what they call them when we have R as a consonant at the beginning of a word: red, rich, run, ready, ridiculous. That's R at the beginning of a syllable, so it's considered a consonant. R is the only sound that can be a consonant or a vowel. When R comes after the vowel, then it's considered an R vowel. So that could be, if you look actually at the right-hand column, well, the one we're doing today is number 15 on the IPA chart, which is the sound So, but if you look at the right hand column here, these are all R vowels. Number 18 is E plus R, which is ear, fear, dear, near, here. E, yombang, plus R becomes air, share, dare, care, where. Then down here, open front vowel, open central vowel, plus R becomes R, hard, market, marvelous. And then we have aw, back open vowel, aw. When you add R to it, it becomes or. Changes quite a lot. So you have horse, north, more, shore, door, court. Then you have this one, which is hard to see on its own, 13. Add that to R and it becomes poor, pure, sure. Not a lot of words with that one. And then you have I, which is already a niju boing diphthong. So actually, when you add R, it's called a triphthong. Tri means three. Triphthong. So you have I plus R becomes ire, higher, fire, tired, wired, mired. I am mired in trouble. Then the last one is ow, which also here is a diphthong. Ow. You add R to it, hour, because you get the hour. So it's like three syllables there. That's shower, power, tower. But today we are just going to do er. So notice that it is in this top area, which is the closed vowels. Closed in the case of vowels just means narrow. It's not actually closed and touching. So in this case, it's er. Now, as you recall from previous opportunities, oh, I need to move. Sorry, I have to move this up so I can see all of you because it was cutting. I forgot to do that. All right, now I can see all of you. Um, so if you recall, I was trying to teach you, I was teaching you, I have been teaching you a way to pronounce R that's different from what you're familiar with. R, of course, is not in Japanese in the same way, and you tend to make it by curling your tongue up. But that is not very effective for a number of reasons. One is that your tongue, it takes kind of this energy to curl and pull it back. So it makes it hard to move quickly into the next position or to move it up quickly between other vowels or other consonants when you curl your tongue up like that. Um, Also, another problem with curling your tongue up is that your it kind of locks your jaw. When you go that way, you can't actually open your jaw, what you're doing with your tongue. So this vowel here, R, if you're making R this way curled up, it's very hard to open. Car. And often for Japanese speakers, you don't open enough. Market, marvelous, hard. So if you recall the way that I was teaching you to do R, instead of curling the tongue up this way, it's actually bringing the middle of the tongue up. The middle of the tongue comes up, The front of the tongue stays down. So it's in an easy position to make other vowels, to touch for various consonants, and easy to flow and connect. Now, making this is something new for you, so it can be tricky to learn this. Today, we're only going to do So I just want you, starting with, to um, sort of remember what I've taught you in the back. And one way to go into this is from E, which of course you do have. So say for me E, E. And again, you guys have been studying for quite a while, so you know E is a front closed vowel. The tip of the tongue, E, here's the bottom teeth. Tip of the tongue comes down like that when you say E. And actually, your jaw is not very open. So E, the sides of your teeth are actually touching the sides of your middle of your tongue. So go E. And can you feel, like if I go E and bite, I would actually bite my tongue and it would bleed. E. So you should be able to feel your teeth on the side touching the side of your tongue. Can you feel that? And you can try from E, just move your tongue side to side and you'll scrape. You'll be scraping against the teeth. You can feel that. Yeah? Okay, so where it is scraping and touching, you press up. I know, notice when I go E, I'm not thinking about pushing my tongue up against my teeth, but now I want you to push it up, this part here. Now the second part, so you're touching there. That's what I want you to feel, the contact, sides of your tongue on the teeth there, and you're pushing up. Now, I want you with your lips to pinch here. Now, pinch does not mean spread, and I'm not going ooh forward. See what I'm doing? I'm pinching that. And that actually helps. For one thing, it opens your jaw a little bit and it actually pushes the tongue up in the center this way. So we're going to go from E, E, So when we go from E, push here, up here. E, Perfect. Um, sure, I mean, if you started with a word there, how many words are they? Earn, like earn, kasegu. Earn, earn. So this is important because it helps push the tongue up in the middle. Feel this touching here. Don't, that'll stop you from also from curling the front of your tongue up. Your tongue, when you come up here, the front of your tongue pulls in, back and in a little bit. Doesn't go like that. It's almost like the opposite position, right? Sure. Okay. So, how is that? Let's do, I guess we can practice with the words in this sentence first. Now, first starts with a consonant, F, right? But I am already making that shape that in my mouth before I make the F. It's not like I go and then I make the R. No. You're forming that position even before I make the F. I'm going to say first. So as I'm making the F, I'm moving into that position. Fur. Just to say fur, like fur coat. Fur, fur. Don't open fa, right? Then there's no room. Fur, first, first. Next is word, word. This is important. Remember, it's not we, it's not wado, word. We're trying to keep it as a closed vowel, wad opening, lifting, even if you're like lifting your tongue that way, you have to open to make room for it. So we're coming up in the middle, word. Next is learn. That's a little tricky because your tongue is coming up to make the L, la 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 la. So you're up touching here. You have to bring it down. Front is up, whoop, middle comes up. Learn. So when you're making the L, your sides of your teeth are not touching. Here, there has to be space because the shape of L, if you watch the L video, there's got to be space in here when you make L. L is this L. The middle kind of drops. It has this little wave going into it. L. So learn, learned, learn. Next we have mercy. Remember, before you or as you're making the M, you're already moving into the position of mercy. Again, Japanese person might say masi, opening to ah. Keep it narrow here. Mer. You can always go back to ear. Ear. While you're holding it, add the M. Ear mercy. Getting into it, that's a good way to do it. Do the ear. Remember, ear. Your jaw is not opening. Your tongue is pushing up. Ear mercy. Then the next line, personally. Start with ear person. Ear person. Person. Then we have personally. Then we have certainly. Now, sir, certainly. Like, yes, sir. It's the same, sir. Certainly. And we'll talk about it in a moment, but we have the syllabic consonant in this word, right? Certain, not certain. We don't release the T. I'll mention that when we get there. Certainly. Next one is worth. Ear, hold that ear, worth. Ear, worth. Learning. And we have learning. So, three phrases here. And of course, the big purple ovals are the rhythm frame, the stressed syllable. So repeat after me. So we have the first word, that's a T stop, right? When you have T at the end of a syllable followed by a consonant, it's a stop. However, W is a consonant, but it's called a glide consonant. We're not actually touching like other ba ba ba. So the first word, you can hear, sorry, soto arusai. You can hear a little bit of the T released because first word, because it's going into W, which is open, kind of like a vowel. So the T is going to have a little bit of reaction. The first word, the first word. I'll tell you another little secret. Oh, well, let me just do a little further. So the first word I learned. The first word I learned. So we have first word learned, all of the same And it takes a little bit of energy to push the middle of your tongue up, to hold that position, The rest are consonants. Well, you have I in there. But when I say those words together like that, I am kind of holding, part of my energy is actually holding that shape through, even though I'm pronouncing the other ones. It's holding that. Yukio-san, I couldn't see you, but I just saw that your thing is there. Hi, welcome. So the first word I learned, part of me is my mouth is holding that The first word I learned. I'm not completely relaxing. The first blah, word, blah, and then I have to go back to it. I'm holding that shape a little bit in my mouth, that tension. The first word I learned. The first word I learned. So I'm holding that somewhat in my mouth so I don't have to go from zero to zero to The first word I learned was mercy. The first word I learned was mercy. Now, the blue line underneath means I want you to continue. Don't break. You will often break at a word that begins with a vowel, like I, but I want you, word I learned, word I, not the first word I learned. You want to connect that. I is unstressed, so you can't take time to stop. That makes it choppy. The first word I learned was mercy. The first word I learned was mercy. Next line. Now that's a phrase, right? We have three phrases, the line going over. The first word I learned was mercy. And personally, now here, and notice in the IPA, there's no D. And when it's often between things, it's got to be short and quick. So we don't say and, because then you would have a vowel and, so it gets dropped. Like you and me. No one's going to say you and me. They're going to say you and me, up and down, left and right. I'm just saying right. I'm not saying a D, left and right, up and down, because the rhythm has to be da da da. You and me, up and down, left and right. Okay, so here you can see, even though it's in the original word, and it's not in the IPA version. And personally, personally. Keep it tight. As soon as you go pa, you're in the wrong direction. We'll never think of per if you open to ah. Personally. Per. Personally. Okay? And personally, that's one short phrase. It was certainly worth learning. It was. That's a T stop. T stop when you have the vowel ending in a consonant followed by another consonant. Not it was. It was. It was. So we learned to make that very, very quickly. It was. And this is actually a topic for another class, another session. But when we say, it was good, what was that? What was happening? That was great. We don't actually touch because it's so fast. It was good. It was bad. It's too fast to actually touch for the T. You think of T as touching here. But in that case, the way the sound, even if I go slowly, the sound itself, the vocal sound is not stopped by the tongue touching here. It's actually stopped in your vocal cords. Setai. I mean, everybody can do this, right? Uh, uh, like kids say, uh-oh, uh-oh. It's like I made a mistake. Uh-oh. Right? Your mouth is open. There's no touching in there. Uh-oh. It's made in the vocal cords. And that's the same thing here. It was. It was. You can go much faster than trying to touch. It was. It was. It was good. What was the meeting about? What were you saying? All of those. What was? It was. That was. Okay. Anyway, so here, we probably should do another class for that because it's that quite interesting little fact. So it was certainly, most of you know about the syllabic consonant. Only in the case of T followed by N or D followed by N. N is a nasal consonant, bidakuon, and T is the stop. So if you take a simpler word like button, right, in my shirt, we do the T stop, but touching, but, and of course, it actually stops here. And then we open the nose, and N is a nasal consonant. Doesn't come through the mouth, comes through the nose. Mm. So we go, but we don't pull it away. We go, but, open the nose. But, can you do that? But, not but, button, button. Kitten, koneko, kitten. Whiten. The walls are too dark. We have to whiten them or lighten them. Uh, so T is unvoiced. D is another, it's the same. T and D are a pair, right? Pair, voiced and unvoiced. D is trickier. That's another class. So for here, this is much easier. I mean, it's tricky when you've never done it before, but yeah. So certain. I'm certain he came. I'm certain the train will come on time. I'm not certain we can trust him. Certain. So T stop, and then we're following with an L here. Certainly. And the same place you're touching, N, T, and L, they're all touching somewhere up here. Certainly. Certainly. Or in New York, certainly. No, people don't talk like that. That's a so certainly worth, or again, ear, were, hold the position, then make the W. Worth. Worth. And I'm still holding some of that shape, worth learning, because TH, the tip of the tongue, is here. L, tip of the tongue is here. So the body of the tongue is still somewhat in that position for the R, worth learning. Okay. We will practice this now. And the rhythm, remember, the first word I learned was mercy. The rhythm frame has a kind of a regular rhythm to it. The first word I learned was mercy. Different phrase makes a different rhythm frame. So we're not trying to keep it going. And personally, only one stress. And personally, it was two little ones before we come down again. It was certainly worth learning. So the first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning. All right. Any questions at all? Any questions about this?
Yes.
Yes, Shuji-san.
Yes. Maybe I missed what you said, but about and
Mhm.
you choose number 5. So
Yes,
is it because the first phrase? I
yes,
thought it was. Ah, I see.
absolutely. So and is usually unstressed, and here it's unstressed. So when you have within a phrase like left and right, you and me, I'm not going you and me. It takes too much time. You and me, left and right, so it gets swashed down to schwa in that case. If it's in the phrase, like for instance, 17, look in was, right? In the first line. The first word I learned was mercy. Was. Very small. But end of the phrase mercy. We're beginning a new phrase. So even though it's unstressed and it's fast, at the beginning of a phrase, if I start with un, That sounds weird. Um, but because it's the beginning of a phrase, we have time to prepare the mouth shape, right? That's what takes time to go, the E-ah, right? But if I'm beginning, I have a pause. The first word I learned was mercy and personally. So I'm preparing my mouth shape before I begin. The timing is still very fast. I'm not going. The first word I learned was mercy and personally. It's still very quick and personally and personally. But to the ear, if I did and personally, that would sound wrong because we can hear it. So it's kind of isolated the beginning, right? So that was a good question, and that's the answer. We've done
Mhm.
this before. So if it's the beginning of a phrase or the beginning of a sentence, I don't know grammatically if it's proper or not, but sometimes people will make a sentence that begins with and. So they have all the time in the world to prepare, and then I left. You know, everybody was late. I didn't know what to do. I was going to miss the train and I called and no, no, no. So what do I do? And then I exploded. Why is everybody late? Whatever it is. And so if I started with that would sound wrong. So the word is but the timing is still quick. And then I left. Okay,
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
great. Any other questions? Yes, Kiyomi-san.
I just want to make sure. So every time when you pronounce er sound, we have to move the tongue like first word like this direction like
Well,
uh
that is the shape to make the R. But what I was saying is, if you have many words in a row, even two words in a row, I'm holding part of my tongue in that position even while I make the other sounds. So I'm not
oh,
going each time all the way. I don't have time to do that. So that's why the first word, I can feel there's a certain tension in the mouth. I mean, I'm controlling the tongue position. So when I do that ear, as I said, right, I'm
yeah.
pushing the middle up, ear. I'm pinching here, It takes a lot of energy, er. So, but they're right next to each other. First word. So I'm kind of holding that tongue in that position while I make the consonants because F is with the lips. Then you have ST. That's the tongue, the teeth in the tongue, and the T. First word. And so even though I'm holding this here, I can then come up and make the D, but I'm still kind of holding this because there are all these words in a row. The first word I learned was mercy. If it was like the first time I saw you, then it's different, right? Time, saw, different mouth position. So I'm not holding it anymore.
Okay.
But the first word I learned from mercy, I can feel in my mouth that our position somewhat all the way through that line, even when I'm making those other sounds. The first word I learned was mercy. And personally, it was certainly worth learning. I mean, I made this sentence deliberately to practice this, but I am holding that our position in my mouth and my tongue, partly.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Any questions? No. Okay, then why don't you practice after me? We'll run through it a few times. Excuse me. Delicious New York water put through a filter. Actually, there was a test I read about a long time ago where they compared 10 different fancy waters with New York tap water. New York tap water and bottled water, from Fiji and all of that. And New York tap water was the most delicious. People at a blind test. Funny. So we have great tap water. Come to New York and drink the water. Okay. Repeat after me. And if you want to tap to help that, remember rhythm frame makes a new, each phrase makes a new rhythm frame. The first word I learned was mercy. and personally, it was certainly worth learning. The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning. One more. The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning. Okay? All right. So we have a lot of people here today, so we're not going to spend a long time on each person, but I'm going to go through and listen to you. And of course, remember, I mean, whoever goes first, they have the enviable, unenviable position. Which one? Enviable position or unenviable position of getting my corrections, which all of you can benefit from because you all have the same original mouth memory, muscle memory. So, Takashi-san, you were first here today. So,
Okay.
would you like to try this?
Yes. The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
All right. A couple of them you did but a lot
Mm.
of them you did more like I couldn't
Uh,
hear, so just
the
say for me
first
fur. Do for me ear
year,
first.
first,
So right after, keep the same mouth position. I hope you're doing this.
mm,
Ear first.
year first,
Word.
word,
Learned.
learned,
Mercy.
mercy.
Okay. I don't think you're actually doing it perfectly. The R, but it's much better than going fast wado, you know.
The
Much
first,
better than opening up because then you're completely lost. I think you would be easily understood
mm,
the way you're doing it. So now try to hold that position, whatever position you're doing, and you keep practicing. Go back, watch the videos. I'll do R again.
mm,
We're never going to give up on R. I tell you, folks,
okay.
we're never going to give up. Now do for me. The first word I learned was mercy.
The first word I learned was mercy.
You're doing wool, something. Full wool.
First,
I can
first
imitate you. Ear. Press this up. Ear.
year,
Can you see that?
year,
Middle of the tongue is pushing up. Now my mouth is not open for because it's the closed vowel, but
uh,
er.
R, R,
The other thing you're doing, which is very common, uh,
R,
if you're doing this kind of, or your habit of curling your tongue up, what that does
R,
is open your throat and push the sound back. I've observed this again and again. It becomes a very dark sound, like e
R,
or.
R,
It's like the
R,
sound. We don't want the sound down there. You want to go forward with it. So
R,
if you think of
R,
pushing up your two front, your side teeth, notどっちかというと
R, my
push them a little forward if you're touching. Ear.
year.
The first word I learned was mercy.
The first, the first word I learned was mercy.
It's so interesting because same vowel, you say it differently. Say for me, learned.
Learned
I mean, that was like the best of it. And then say, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Okay, so as I said, it's not a great R, but you're not opening up to ah. So I think it would be quite easy to understand. tochu, right? You're on your way, but you gotta, this is a revolutionary way to make R. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Thank you, Takashi-san.
Thank you.
Yuko-san, Nakajima-san. We have three Yukos here today. We're back to three Yukos. Yuko, Yuko, Yuko. You guys should start a girl group. Yuko, 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 Shuji. I don't know. Okay, so Nakajima-san.
Hi. Um, the first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Worth learning.
Worth learning.
They should be the same. Worth learning.
Worth learning.
Okay, not bad. Personally.
Personally.
Four,
Personally.
four syllables. Personally.
The shua is very difficult for me to speak out.
Well,
Shua.
try it. Just go slow. Personally.
Personally.
Don't break. Personally. Keep your voice flowing through like you're singing. Personally.
Personally.
Yeah, you tend to go personally. You're kind of that schwa is almost a little too small. Person. How do you say person?
Person.
Persona.
Personal.
Personally.
Personally.
Not bad. And personally, it was certainly worth learning.
And personally, it was certainly worth learning.
It was. Needs to be cleaner. It was.
It was.
It was certainly worth learning.
It was certainly worth learning.
So your in being worth learning, they're not the same. They don't sound the same. And of course, mouth is in a different position. You have the W at the lips, but then you're making the L up there, coming back into R. Worth learning.
Worth learning.
The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Okay, the only thing I want to say is like that first line, everything should be connected. You were kind of break, 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 break. The first word I learned was If you were singing, you wouldn't break. The first word I learned was mercy.
The first word I learned was mercy.
Learned was mercy.
Learned was mercy. Learned was mercy.
The first word I learned was mercy.
The first word I learned was mercy.
You broke. Word I learned. Word I learned. So even that is really unconscious. So practice, just start with that first line, practice it. And, the first word I learned was mercy. Whatever. The first word I learned was mercy. I don't know, just sing. Connect it though. The first word I learned was mercy. The first word I learned was mercy. Okay?
I
Connect.
will.
Same thing. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Masa-san.
The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Okay, so first word was better. Learned after the L. Your R is not as good. Long, going back into that shape. Just do for me the first word.
The first word.
Okay, actually, your R sounds, I don't know how you're doing it, but it sounds pretty good. It does. And so now, if it's sounding good, the hard thing is, of course, we're putting our mouth in a new position, make our tongue go here, make that. But then we've talked about this before, then you have to start relaxing so it's smoother, doing the same thing and not with as much tension. The first word.
The first word.
That was better. It was more relaxed. The first word I learned.
The first word I learned
was mercy.
Was mercy.
Not mercy, keep the mercy.
Mercy.
Mer. Mercy.
Mercy.
Mercy. Hear the difference? You sound a little bit like mercy. Mercy.
Mercy.
The first word I learned was mercy.
The first word I learned was mercy.
And personally,
And personally,
per,
her,
personally,
personally,
it was certainly worth learning.
it was certainly worth learning.
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 So that was good. So of course with L, because L, the nature of L is the tip comes up and the middle drops. You kind of have to get back into it. Right when you release the L, the middle of the tongue comes up to make the R. Learning.
Learning.
The first word I
Learning.
learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Okay. Hard when it gets faster. Okay. Got to move on. So, I recommend I'm sending out the video, you guys, if you want, watch the video and you can keep practicing and you can hear yourself too. And, compare like when I go, oh, that was good. This is not. And as your ears get better, that will also help you. Great. Thank you. Yukiko-san.
The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Good. Your R's sound really nice. Are you doing it? You learned from me, right? You're doing it kind of this way. Do it again.
The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Worth learning. TH, not S. Worth learning.
Worth learning.
Yeah, connect them. Worth learning.
Worth learning.
So you don't stop your breath, worth learning, right? It's one flow of breath, worth learning.
Worth learning.
Yeah, that's how you sound great. So I'm going to leave it there. Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, Kiyomi-san.
The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Okay, so again, the thing of word, then you went learned was not as good an R because you're reaching up to make the L and then you have to come back there. Do the whole thing again.
The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
これテレビですか？後ろに。
Oh, I'm sorry. My husband is watching the
Right,
TV.
that's what I thought. Okay, so yeah, just watch the video and keep practicing, okay? It sounds good. You're gonna get that really nicely. And now we gotta move. Is Yukio-san still here? Maybe she is. Oh, the arrow. But okay, Kimura-san.
The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Beautiful. Very nice. These are the people, but of course, these people have studied with me for a long time, you guys. Yuko-san, Yukiko-san, they took my singers class. They've been studying with me for a long time, and it shows. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Just do it one more time for me.
Okay. The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Certainly.
Certainly worth learning.
Yeah, very nice. Lovely. So all that you can do is keep practicing to get the flow and the connection, because still when you're learning, you're thinking kind of, well, this word, this word, this word, and we want to get the whole thing. The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning. Thank you. That was lovely. Ikagawa-sama.
Hi. The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Certainly.
Certainly.
Yeah. You sound great too. I'm actually quite amazed, and it's just like obvious evidence. You guys have been studying with me for a long time, and sounds really good. Okay, I'm going to go on because we're running out of time. Shuji-san.
The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Do it again and think worth learning. Again, you have a little bit worth learning. They're a little bit different because of the L thing. But do it again.
The first word I learned was mercy, and personally, it was certainly worth learning.
Yeah, you could practice the word learn, learned, learning.
Learning.
Because that sounds like, here's what you sound like, learning instead of learning.
Uh-huh.
Say for me, mercy,
Mercy.
mercy,
Mercy. Mercy.
mercy,
Mercy.
learning.
Learning. Learning.
Yeah, I mean, again, no one would misunderstand you. It's very clear. Because the main problem you guys have is going fast what I must see, right, is opening up because of that. And so it sounds really good. Just keep practicing, okay? Working on that. And last but not least, Yukio. Nice to see you. When did you get here? How late were you? Not not too late, right? Um, because I can't see you, right? The strip only has certain things, so I didn't see you when you came on. Okay, let's hear you. Huh? Keep going out, yo.
Hear me
No, sound is bad. Try again. Dame. Everybody else, can anybody hear her properly? No, right? Eh?
Can you hear me? Dami, can you help me? Can you hear me?
I could sort of hear that, but
Here? Here?
Taskete.
Can you hear me?
Sort of. Try it. We'll see.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. No, they can't hear. Can't hear.
We can hear a little bit of I can hear that.
So maybe this is not good.
Try it.
Yeah. And the first word I love was mercy. And personally, it was sudden.
Dame da.
Dame.
I can hear you what you're saying, but I can't hear enough to correct you or do anything. It's very nice to see your face, though. I'm really happy that you came. So next time,
I will get the new one.
well, you sometimes it's been fine. Today is not fine. Not fine. Okay, so I'm gonna sign off the recording, but you guys can stay and then I'll get rid of the share screen and then we'll say goodbye. So for all of you listening at home, tune in next week, channel X31 on your favorite Popenoe Method station. We will see you then. I hope this was interesting for you and have a lovely week.